Another week has gone by and the Premier League did not fail to surprise. Chelsea and Liverpool continue their amazing form, so much so that it's the 5th week running that they've had mirror scores. 3-0 first, 2-0 second, and then the 1-1 draw between them, followed up by 2 more 3-0s. Mad. Arsenal scrape a 1-0 win against Burnley, which means if they beat Spurs next week, they could go neck and neck in the table with 9 points. Crazy how the league can change in just 2 weeks. Wolves, after their first victory of the season, lose to newly promoted Brentford, who currently seem like a force to be reckoned with. Man City drop points to Southampton. Where this happens, Aston Villa stun Everton in an absolute thumping, where Cash and Bailey get their first Aston Villa goals. Man United win due to a late penalty hit from De Gea. And Chelsea have Detroit Spurs, who go on a 2-game losing streak. Harry Kane continuing his poor form. But the first game this week was Newcastle against Leeds, which had a total of 39 shots from both sides, including 16 on target. The score ended in 1-1, with Rafinha scoring early, but St. Maximin equalising later on. Rather underwhelming. Daniel James starts his first game, and it's safe to say that he definitely suits them. Bielsa ball is something that he's very comfortable with. To switch from Manchester United may have been the most ideal move for the growth of his career. During the game, he was involved in an incident with Joe Willock in which he thought was a definite penalty. That's what he was known for at Man United, causing problems in the opponent's box, and I guess he is doing the same at Leeds. On to the next game, which was one of many surprises this week as Brentford beat Wolves 2-0. Ivan Toney got his second goal in the Premier League in the form of a penalty, and Brian Mbeumo for their second in the 34th minute. They managed to hold on despite Shannon Baptiste receiving a red card later in the second half. Wolves had 0 shots on target the whole game. It seems as if it's going to take Jimenez slightly longer to recover to his form before his injury. On the flip side, Brentford seem like they're getting comfortable in the top division, with their only loss so far coming against Brighton last week. More on them later. Contrary to them, the 2 other teams that came up with Brentford actually played each other this week. The prospects for one of them at least is looking quite bad. 5 games played and 5 losses for Norwich City as they sit comfortably at the bottom of the league with a -12 goal difference. Dennis scored Watford's first goal, and what seemed like a lifeline from Pukki in the first minute turned out to be nothing more than redundant as Ismaila Sarr scored 2 goals in the second half. Watford are 11th with 6 points to their name, so the Hornets are not quite safe yet. Norwich's tactic of essentially buying a whole new squad is clearly not working, as, despite spending just under 60 million in the summer transfer window, the squad is taking longer to gel than originally thought. One player who was taking the Premier League like a fish to water though is Ismaila Sarr, who is highlighting what a bright young talent he is. Clubs like Liverpool, Crystal Palace and Manchester United have all been interested in recent years, but it looks like Watford kept him for a reason. The next game was Burnley against Arsenal, where a pinpoint Odegaard free kick gave the Gunners the victory, despite the Clarets having 18 shots in the 90 minutes. The 1-0 victory sees some form for Arteta's men, although they are not yet to beat a top 10 side. Another penalty drama was seen here, as Ben White misplaced a back pass that saw Ramsdale nearly give away a penalty unintentionally. On from Arteta to his former boss, and we see Southampton drawing to Guardiola's men in a 0-0 that saw Man City have only 1 shot on target. Despite having 64% possession, City's lack of a striker seemed to be the key reason as to why they dropped points against the Saints. Points which could prove vital in the long term. Even more penalty drama here, as Kyle Walker clearly fouled Adam Armstrong in the box, yet nothing was given. This was only one of the many bad decisions to speak regarding penalties. Southampton have now 4 points, with this draw possibly being vital for them on the opposite end of the table in terms of survival against relegation. In the title race, however, Liverpool definitely did not falter, as they watched aside Crystal Palace 3-0 with goals from Mane, Salah and a stunning volley from Keita. Despite playing Milner and Tsimikas at the fullback positions, they kept yet another clean sheet. But there was some bad news as Thiago came off injured, and it seems as if he is going to miss the next 2 Premier League games at a minimum, as well as the Champions League match against Porto. Liverpool's Merseyside neighbours Everton were also involved in a 3-0 match, yet they were on the brunt end of it. Leon Bailey came on to score an assist, but unfortunately he also came off injured, Everton clearly struggled without the likes of Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, as being on the losing side of a 3-0 match is not something that generally happens. One can only question Rafa Benitez's tactics, and I'm sure Everton fans everywhere are wondering what their aim for this season is. Is it solely to stay mid-table again, or are they going to go for those European spots? Speaking of demolitions, Brighton did not demolish Leicester, but they definitely shocked us with a 2-1 win. A Mopoy penalty and Danny Welbeck scored before a Vardy consolation goal, but it's safe to say no one expected this from the Seagulls at the beginning of the season. Despite being clear underdogs, Brighton beat the Foxes and have managed 4 wins out of 5, with the only loss coming to Everton, and they are a massive 4th in the league, only 1 point behind first and 2 points in front of Manchester City. Could Brendan Rodgers' men underperform this season, or is it too early to tell? Let me know in the comment section below where you think Leicester will finish this season. Now we arrive at West Ham against Man United, which was one crazy game itself. It was evident that the Hammers missed Mikel Antonio, but you can't say they didn't give it a go. Benrahma scored first, off a deflection on Varane, with none other than Ronaldo scoring the equaliser 5 minutes later. In the first half alone, Man United had 7 shots on target, the most of any team in the league so far. In fairy tale manner, Jesse Lingard came on to score a stunner against his former club in the 89th minute, which meant he has now scored the most amount of goals in the London Stadium in 2021. But it didn't end there. 3 penalty appeals from Man United throughout the match, so each one denied, and although Zuma had an amazing performance, this last appeal near the end of the match should definitely, in my opinion, have been given as a penalty. And even that was not the most ridiculous moment of the game. Right in the last minute, where it all seemed over, Luke Shaw had his hand in an unnatural position and he touched the ball, which gave West Ham the penalty they so desperately needed for a 2-2 draw. Mark Noble, in his final season for the club, their captain, came on in magnificent fashion to take the penalty, having scored his previous 10 penalties for West Ham, and West Ham's record being 1 out of the last 5. David De Gea in goal, not having saved a Premier League penalty since 2014 against Everton, and having conceded 11 penalties in the Europa League final last season. The horror was just about to begin. But no. David De Gea saved it, and justice was served. At the top of the table now are 3 teams, Man United, Liverpool, and the final being Chelsea. The London derby quenched, and no one expected Spurs' high tempo, but saw a few chances missed in the first half. It seemed as if after the break that Spurs were the most dominant, but one change from Tuchel saw the whole game get flipped on its head. Kante coming on for Mount, the major game changer. Kane's poor form only continued as Chelsea beat Spurs 3-0 with goals from Thiago Silva, Kante and Rudiger, seeing Spurs lose 2 games in a row now. That's it for this week's Premier League Roundup, and what a week it was, but next week is going to be even better. Let me know what your predictions are below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. For next week's Premier League games, I wrote down my predictions in the description below, so let's see how many I get right. Until next time, I will see you guys later.